Good afternoon. I would like to thank you all for joining us today. It's nice to see you all again. Just as a reminder, I'm Kelsey LaCour and I'm here with my partner, Deanne Griswold. We're going to talk to you all, the board, about how we are going to implement the proposal that you accepted in order to improve and enhance St. John the Compassionate Mission. More specifically, what we would like to call the solution. I would first like to give you guys an outline of what we'll be talking to you all about today. First, we will be showing you the volunteer match job description that we wrote in order to reach new volunteers. We will be posting this on Volunteer Match, which we will talk to you a little bit more about in a moment. Next, we'll be showing you the agenda for the board meeting regarding your input on the successor. As you will see, this outlines what we will be talking about and what kind of input we need from you all in order to get the best person for the job. Next, we'll be talking to you about the focus group that we have planned. The purpose of this focus group is to learn more about how we can enhance the bakery. The people in this focus group will be from the community, and we will learn more about what they want to see and what we can do to improve it. Next, we'll be presenting the interfaith event that we have planned. This is in order to bring in new volunteers and increase involvement within our community. Next, we'll be showing you the job description for Father Roberto's replacement. In addition to this, we have selected a personality test for the hire of the successor. This will be given to the candidates who have made it to the first round. Next, we will be presenting our market research on the bakeries in order to enhance St. John the Compassionate Missions. Next, Deanne will tell you about the development plan for the volunteers that will help grow them within the organization. Following this, we will be telling you how we will be screening the candidates. And lastly, we will talk to you about the creation of a new menu item, reaching out to elementary schools and spreading awareness for the campaign. First, I'm going to show you the job description that we have created for Volunteer Match. We are using Volunteer Match in order to find servers for St. John the Compassionate Mission, bakers for the bakery, as well as cashiers and managers for the bakery. We have chosen to post on Volunteer Match because market research has shown that Volunteer Match is the most effective way to recruit highly qualified volunteers for nonprofits. According to their website, they match you with people who are passionate about and committed to your cause, who can help when and where you need them. Volunteer Match has 1.3 million monthly visitors and has connected nearly 15 million volunteers with over 123,000 nonprofits. It is also free to post on Volunteer Match, which is why it's a great option for St. John the Compassionate Mission. The following is the job description that we have created. It starts with a little bit about St. John the Compassionate Mission. It reads, St. John the Compassionate Mission is a nonprofit organization that serves anyone in need, no matter what their faith. The mission was inspired by St. John the Compassionate, whose vision differed from the contemporary Western view that poor people were to be helped and pitied by others. Rather, it believed that we can learn from the poor. The next section of the job description is our vision. It reads, the most fundamental need of people is something that most people take for granted, a meaningful place in a healthy community, a sense of belonging. Without it, drug rehab, improved housing, or employment programs have little effect. Without it, people will remain trapped in a lifestyle that is difficult to escape. When people do not feel like they belong, they cannot seem to recover. Next, it says our mission. Our purpose is to be and to build an inclusive community through the gifts and needs each of us brings. The community of love is a place of healing and nourishment occurring through awakening of the God-given dignity and value of each person, while responding to each person's human needs. Next, the job description goes into what St. John the Compassionate Mission is looking for. It reads, we are always looking for volunteers in a number of different positions, no matter your faith or beliefs. There are a few things we look for in all our volunteers, people who are committed to serving, doing good, and making a difference in your community. Servers. St. John the Compassionate Mission serves over 3,000 meals per month, and we always need help preparing and serving the food to our many guests. Bakers. Our bakery is always looking for volunteers to come help make delicious treats and snacks. We prefer those who have some experience in the kitchen, as we are looking to expand our menu and think of some fun, creative ways to enhance the bakery. Cashiers. Our bakery is in need of some cashiers to help with day-to-day operations of the shop, including completing transactions and marketing our products. This is a great volunteer opportunity for children ages 12 through 18. Managers. We are looking for some experienced volunteers to look over the management of our bakery. This would include looking over operations and ensuring everything is running smoothly. As you can see, we did brief descriptions of what we need. We did not want to be too specific because we don't want to turn people off. We don't want people to think that they cannot do these jobs by putting too much information and saying that we need too much. Really, what St. John the Compassionate Mission needs right now is hands, and that's what we're trying to get through this post. The post concludes with a brief message. If you are interested in any of these positions, email Kelsey LaCour, klacour01@manhattan.edu, or Deanne Griswold, dgriswold01@manhattan.edu, with a brief note introducing yourself, your resume, and the position you would like to volunteer for. We believe that this post has what it takes to get the volunteers that we need. It's on a great platform, gets our message across, and will definitely bring in great volunteers to help enhance the bakery and the St. John the Mission as a whole. The next portion that we are going to present to you is our agenda for the board meeting. As we talked about in our proposal, we really want the board to be involved in the process of hiring a new successor. We want to know what you guys are looking for and what you guys want to see in the next successor, as you guys are so invested into the community of St. John the Compassionate Mission and know what's best for it. While our job is to find the best person, we wouldn't want to do so without the input of the heart and soul of this organization, which is the board, you guys who have invested a lot of your time, money, and life to this organization. We did put a tentative date and time on this. We would like to have it by March 24th, 2019, because that's when we feel like we would be able to begin the process of incorporating your guys' views and aspects of what we need to do. So while this isn't a set date, we would like to have it by this time, and we will discuss further what day you guys feel comfortable doing it. So just like any other board meeting, the agenda starts with a call to order, an approval of the agenda, an approval of last meeting's minutes, and then heads into the discussions of the successor, which is really what we want to focus on. We really want your input on the background and experience that you want from a successor. How many years of experience? What kind of jobs they've had in the past? Does it have to have been a priest, or can it be someone who is not ordained but does have a lot of experience in nonprofits as an executive director? You could separate this position from here on out, so that's something we would also like to talk about, having a priest and an executive director separately. We want to know what specific aspects you're looking for in a successor, and we'll really be looking for you guys to voice your opinion and make what you want to say known in this meeting. This is really the main time for you guys to discuss what you're looking for, and you really need to utilize it. So it also has to be a date that a lot of people are able to come. It can't just be a few members of the board. It has to be everyone there, everyone giving their input. So this is a really important part of the process. During this time, we'll also give you guys the opportunity to voice who you think might be a good position. It could be someone from the inside, or it could be someone that you know in the community that would make a good fit for this position. So we would like you guys to come to this meeting prepared and ready to talk about nominations, as well as maybe bring in some resumes, or at least be able to talk about the people that you are nominating. The next step is to go over the timeline of hiring a successor. We will talk about the relay succession model, which is what we recommend for this. During the meeting, we will definitely go into more detail about it, but just to give you guys a heads up, this is where the successor is appointed months or even years before the prior person retires. So in this case, we would have the person come in a few months before Father Roberto is looking to end his time with the organization, and he would be able to learn from Father Roberto and get accustomed to the way things run. We think this is the best model because it gives him a chance to learn from the person who created the organization and knows the organization best. And it also gives Father Roberto the chance to feel like he's leaving his organization in good hands with someone that he trusts. And then, as I talked about a little bit before, this is the opportunity for the board of directors to give the nominations. This is a formal nomination, so each person will have to go up and present who they think should be the next person, if they do have someone in mind. If you guys rather go with an outside hire, we'll obviously talk about that as well. Then we'll obviously wrap up with comments and announcements, and then adjournment. As I touched on earlier, this is a very crucial part for this process. We really want to know your input, and this is the best time to do it. So this is a big part in our step because it's going to be a foundation for the rest of our plan. The next aspect of our presentation reverts back to the issue of the bakery. And one way we think we can enhance the bakery is through a focus group. The reason we would like to do a focus group is because we can hit our exact demographic, and we will be able to ask the questions in person and see people's reactions. As you can see here, we have created a flyer for the focus group. We want to be able to reach people and make sure that a lot of people come so we can get a wide variety of answers. So as you can see, it says looking for focus group volunteers. If you're game to help out, you get a free shirt and refreshments. We always want to find a reason to entice people to come. Studies show that people are more susceptible to enter things if there are free things, even food or a shirt. So this is a cheap way that we can encourage people to come to our focus group. So I made it for March 10th and said that it begins at noon, which is right after church service. So this is a way to get more people to come. You'll see more people gathering, ask what's going on, and say, oh, they're doing a focus group. There'll be free shirts and free refreshments, and it'll have more people come. It says we're looking for volunteers who can help us improve our bakery through some discussion. We always want to put what we're doing and why we're there in the flyer. And then, of course, it says RSVP to kLacour01@manhattan.edu. One struggle that we may face during this is not getting enough people. That's always something that arises during a focus group. But we believe that we can get a focus group done and with a lot of people if we get these flyers out in time and on a regular basis. So we'll be giving these out at church services, then having our priests talk about that this is going on every service so everyone knows. We'll have them posted around the church, around the community, so people know that this is happening. Another struggle we may face is getting too many people. You never know, because you always want to have only about 10 people in a focus group so the conversation doesn't get carried away. I'll be running a focus group, Deanne will be running a focus group, as will some of you guys. So hopefully we can get that many people, and if we can and it's even too much, we'll try and do another date and another time so we can get more and more input. Now we're going to show you guys what we are going to be asking the focus group in order to gain the best information possible in order to help St. John the Compassionate Mission. So the first question we're going to ask is, what are the characteristics that you look for when entering a bakery? We want to know what aesthetically pleases people when they walk in. Do they want to see a friendly face, or is it more important to see a certain color or a certain food or a certain item in the bakery? This is what we want to know by asking this question. We want to know what they look for right when they walk in a bakery. Next, we plan to ask, what kind of items do you want to see on the menu of a bakery? So specifically, do they want to see sweets, or do they want to see more savory goods? Do they want to see breakfast items or desserts? Do they want to see a combination of both? We're looking for what they want to see in their community and what they feel their community lacks. The next question we're going to ask is if they prefer there to be vegan, kosher, and gluten-free options, or if they think people in the area want to see those options. While obviously it is ideal to have these options, it costs more money and requires more knowledge to have people make these foods vegan, kosher, and gluten-free. So if it's not necessary and they do not believe that people in the community will really be looking for this, then we're not going to do it, because that's a lot of money that will be going to something that isn't really a huge deal for the community. Next, we want to know a little bit more about what bakeries are popular in the community. So we're going to ask what spots they go to, what do they like. This will help us see what works and what doesn't work. Of course, after this, we will need to go to these bakeries and see what's going on for them, what they're selling, what's on their menu, in order to get a little bit more insight on what's going on. Next, we're going to ask, where do you find you, your friends, and your families going on the weekends? This is in order to see where we should move the bakery. Obviously, the place it is in right now isn't the best, and we would like to see it in a place where people are going to be. If it's on the other side of town where people don't really hang out on the weekends or even on the weekdays, it's not going to be somewhere that's going to get a lot of money. So we want to find out where people go, what they like to do, and see if we can find somewhere in that community that would be a good spot for the bakery. So obviously we'd like it to be close to the church, but the most important thing is getting people there. So that would be nice if it could be close to the church and in a spot people are around. So that'll take a lot of market research and figuring out from our focus group where they go, what they like to do. Next, we want to know what part of bakery experience they notice if they do not like. Of course, there are little things that you experience in a bakery or in any restaurant that you don't like, but they're not that big of a deal. We want to know what they remember from a bakery that they don't like. We're going to ask of experiences they had at bakeries that they didn't like and what they didn't like about them. It could be that they didn't have a certain food item, it could have been the service, it could have been something else about the store, the way it looked, its cleanliness. We need to know what they specifically do not like about their experience at bakeries so we can know to improve that and be the spot that does not do that. Obviously, the St. John the Compassionate Mission Bakery isn't all bad. We know that there are spots that have really succeeded and done well in the community. So we're going to ask, what have you noticed the St. John the Compassionate Mission Bakery does well? And we want to enhance those things and make sure everyone knows about those aspects of the bakery when we're doing this new improvement. Once we find out about what these highlights are, we'll be able to enhance them and market them towards our audience and get more customers in. Next, we will ask what improvement areas they would like to see in St. John the Compassionate Mission Bakery. Of course, this is one of the hardest parts for people to say to you, which I think is a great reason that Deanne and I will be the ones conducting it, because they know that we don't really have a huge affiliation with you guys rather than working for you. So I feel like people will be more likely to tell us what they do not like because we don't have as much of a connection as you all do. So that's a really important thing for us to ask and us to get a little insight on. And lastly, we might as well use this opportunity to learn a little bit more about how these people learn about volunteer opportunities. As we noted before when we talked about our volunteer match job description, we want people in the bakery. So we're going to get a little bit more insight on how they learn about their volunteer opportunities and if they've ever seen our volunteer opportunities online. And then, of course, we will follow up with questions depending on each response. So we will not be limited to these questions. If someone says something that makes us ask another question that we want to learn more about, we're going to follow up and ask more questions. The next part of our plan is to hold a volunteer mixer. As you can see, this is our invitation. It says, come learn about our mission and our plans for the future. And it has the date, June 21st, 2019, which we chose because it's the first day of summer. Kids will be off school. Parents will be able to take their kids, and we think it's a good time of the year to do it. The location, obviously, St. John the Compassionate Mission, and it says to bring friends and family. There will be silent auction, food, and beverages. We look forward to seeing you there. So to kind of lay out what we're doing with this event, I'm going to first talk to you about our vision. Our goal is to increase volunteerism through our current volunteers bringing in friends, family, and community members to our event. We would also like to do a silent auction of baskets donated by current volunteers and members of the community. Number of attendees. We would like to have 2 guests, aka potential volunteers, brought by at least half of our current volunteers. The maximum number of people that we are looking to serve is 150, and a minimum number is 100. This is so we don't have a ton of extra food or not enough food. We're planning for about in that range. Our goal is to raise $5,000 in this fundraiser, which will be through the baskets, which we'll touch on a little bit later. Next, we're going to talk to you about the team, what we're going to do, who we're going to hire in order to make this happen. First is the event coordinator, which will be Deanne and I. And then in terms of marketing, theme, and advertising, we will also take care of that to cut down on marketing costs. In terms of food, we will use an outside catering service. We actually found a catering service called Hawthorne Food and Drink who has volunteered to cater this event for only $800. That is not a lot for a catering service for this many people, so we're very grateful that they have donated their time and their food for only $800, which will pay the servers. We did a little bit of market research to get here to find this restaurant that not only caters, but also always looks to help local organizations within the Toronto area. We also found that they like to support Christian communities, so we figured this would be a perfect fit, and they have agreed to do it for $800. Hawthorne Food and Drink holds a lot of the same values that St. John the Compassionate Mission does, so it's also important to partner up with organizations that have the same values as you. Next, we have the decorations, supplies, and decorating plan, which will be covered by Deanne and I and our team, and we plan to spend about $200 in this aspect. We're going to have volunteers come in and set them up, so that won't cost any money for the actual labor. And in terms of setup, tear down, and staging, that will also be done by the catering service and the volunteers. We will also need to do volunteer placement and job descriptions for this event, which we also plan to do through Volunteer Match. And then in terms of event activities and prizes, we will be doing, like I said, the silent auction. In terms of budget, first for the venue and setup, that should be free because it's our venue and the setup will be done by volunteers. As for projectors, internet, Wi-Fi, speakers, microphones, and cameras, we have looked to hire an outside service, which will be about $500 for the night. In terms of catering, which we already spoke about, food, beverages, table settings, that'll be about $800. And while we will be doing marketing, it'll still cost money to get everything printed and everything ready for the event. So that'll be about $300. So we're looking at a grand total of about $1,600 for this awesome event. And if we do indeed hit our goal of $5,000 raised from this event, we will have made $3,400. Our donors and our sponsors are a big part of this, so we want to get this part started right away. This is where we reach out to local businesses and talk to them about what we're doing and that we need donations in terms of gift baskets in order to make money and reach our goal. We have actually already reached out to a lot of sponsors, including Panzer's Original Delicatessen, which is very popular in the Toronto area, Cognic Biscuit, which is popular as well, a few local sports teams, a few local gyms that will give out free lessons, free memberships, the Toronto Golf Club, which will give out free lessons, the Toronto Swim Club, which gives out free lessons, and a photography class. So we already have a lot of good things, but we're going to reach out to more things in the area. Here's another look at our invitation, and we think this is going to be a great thing. It kills two birds with one stone in terms of getting more people to know about our volunteer opportunities and bringing in more volunteers, and it also raises money for our community. Our goal for how many volunteers we'd like to get is, through this, we'd like to get 10 more volunteers. That doesn't sound like a lot, but from one event, that is a lot more hands. And when you think about it, they're coming in more than one time. They're doing more things than just a one-time event. So 10 people coming more than once is a big improvement for us. The next part I'm going to talk to you about is the job description for the priest executive director, the person that will be leading after Father Roberto moves on. So you can take a look at this job description. It says, if you desire to make a positive difference for a Christian community, you may just be the priest executive director candidate for St. John the Compassionate Mission is looking for. St. John the Compassionate Mission is a nonprofit organization that serves anyone in need, no matter the faith, based in Toronto. And then it gives a little bit more about our background and what St. John the Compassionate Mission has done. Next, we have the job responsibilities for this position. Obviously, this is not set in stone, as we want your feedback and your criticism on this so we can make it better, but this is pretty much what it is. Oversee the bakery, organize the church services, work on outreach, conduct baptisms, lead the board. Everything that you need to know is in here. And then it leads down to the job skills and qualifications, which we would like them to be ordained, dedicated to spreading the word of Jesus Christ, excellent verbal and written communication, and 5+ years of experience leading a nonprofit organization. An important part of this is that we say don't feel intimidated if you do not meet all of our required skills. We look forward to looking through your credentials anyway. I think this is very important because it makes people not intimidated to apply if they don't have 5 years of experience leading a nonprofit organization, or they may not fit all the job requirements, because you know what, we might find someone who lacks in a little bit, but someone that Father Roberto can train. So it is important to let all people apply and not feel intimidated by the job description.
Over the past 5 years, the bakery and cafe industry has heated up, and consumers are becoming more interested in reasonably priced but high quality baked goods. And there has been an increase in the industry by about 3.4%, so nearly 3.5%. There's been a nearly 3.5% increase in the bakery industry, which allows St. John's Compassionate Mission to have a timely place in the industry, and it has a chance at having a space in the accumulated revenues of over $8 billion in 2018. There's been a 4% increase in the number of businesses, and the amount of employees has also increased, which means that the need for St. John's to expand will also have a need for employees, and there is an increase in bakery and cafe employees in the past 5 years. A proper development plan for volunteers allows them to grow within the organization and will allow them to remain loyal over a longer term, and maybe keep them over an entire life cycle, an entire lifetime, and potentially beyond, with any relatives that are related to the volunteer. So it's important to develop a plan that will allow them to grow and maintain their relationship with the organization. So focusing on strengths and allowing them to specialize on areas that they are good at will be a good strategy for retaining, and also giving them opportunities to focus on soft skills that aren't strengths but are areas for growth and potential challenges to overcome. Um, this is all allowing the volunteers to really appreciate their experience and get satisfaction from the time that is spent with St. John's. And having volunteers, having a strong base, allows us to get a good feel for threats sometimes before we would ever be able to detect them. Finally, making sure that our volunteers are aware of food safety issues is really important if they're going to be working in the bakery and if they're going to be working with at-risk people in the community. So making sure that they are up to date on protocol and procedures for food safety and dealing with at-risk populations is going to be important, and will also allow employees to really strengthen their soft skills and appreciate the time that they're getting with St. John's. When we screen our candidates, we will be interviewing every potential employee, not leaving it up to a screening service, and we will be questioning every discrepancy with the assigned employees and assigned volunteers. We won't leave any investigation not concluded. And that means making sure that we're going through all of the resources from the beginning of the employee's time, from the cover letters and the referrals to the employee reviews and to any potential discrepancies that may have occurred in the past. The creation of a new menu item will spark interest in the community among those who are already involved with St. John's and those who are new to the mission. The Compassionate Muffin is an opportunity for St. John's to sort of play off of the name and the mission while offering a new item in the industry that St. John's is already established in. Reaching out to local elementary schools is a perfect way to create a relationship with the community that we are already based and involved in. This is a way to further grow our roots by getting our high quality items into elementary schools where the children will be eating them, will be talking about them, will be potentially bringing items home to their parents, or will be asking their parents to come in and get the new Compassionate Muffin. We'll be sharing the news for St. John's with public relations, marketing, and other forms of communication, email, and mailing to make sure that the community knows about our new ways that we are trying to interact, raise awareness for our amazing local, vibrant community that has allowed us to thrive.
Thank you for taking the time to listen to our presentation. We really hope you enjoy it, and we're very excited to get started with St. John the Compassionate Mission.